Megabonk's leaderboards are finally fixed, and along with this, we've got a bunch of changes and information that will forever change record-breaking runs. 5-hour run times may actually be a thing of the past now, so here's everything you need to know. So first off, we can see that the leaderboards are fixed. I mean, you can go in game, and there's not a ton of runs. I think the top run right now is about 400k, but get in there, get your scores set up, and let's get those high scores. One of the biggest changes is made to the final swarm section of each round. Basically, what we're gonna see is that these 5-hour runs probably aren't gonna exist anymore. What he says is that the current meta required you to wear sunglasses. Okay, this is a joke. The current meta requires you to wear sunglasses and watch a slideshow/light show at 1.5 FPS for 5 hours to get a world record, which was never intended, and he doesn't think that anyone actually enjoyed that. So he says he's, quote, stirred up some shit. The final swarm is harder to survive now, and your executes and black holes won't really save you anymore, probably. So it says that new ghosts are going to appear in the final swarm. Now, we've had the white ones, we've had the black ones. Are these ghosts going to be completely different? Are we going to see like a whole new genre of ghosts that are super powerful? I'm really interested to see kind of how a world record run is going to go now, because before it was kind of like you get your perfect build, especially with the black holes and that Executioner, and you just AFK and you sit there for 60 minutes, right? So now, along with the Executioner and the black holes, he says that there should be optimized FPS when using these two weapons now, so he's probably made some graphical changes to make these run better on our systems. Also, just in case this has ever happened to you guys, it never happened to me, but he says he's hopefully fixed an issue where players lost their save files if the game crashed. So that never happened to me, but if you ever lost your save files, that would actually be tragic. That would be tragic. There's a bunch of other changes here. So now, Spaceman's passive now properly works and gives XP increase per level. So he's gone through and he's fixed a couple things. There's a few other things I'll mention here. He says he's fixed a bug where the black hole hitboxes were like 10 times the size of the actual projectile, basically covering the entire map. That's something we've known about. You upgrade these things' size, upgrade their levels, and you really did cover the whole map. Everywhere that you could see on screen was basically covered, and maybe even more. He also fixed a bug where the spiky shield didn't stack correctly. I don't really use that one, but in case you do, now it'll be correctly calculated. Now, this one's a bit of a long one here. He added max duration to weapons so that they don't stop shooting once you hit the projectile limit. Now, for example, the sword projectile was being affected by duration, even though it's only ever active for 1 second, but too much duration made it active for much longer, which means the cap was being filled with empty projectiles. Basically, weapons like Executioner, axe, sword, etc. are working properly and shooting their projectiles now, even with high duration. This is a buff for pretty much all weapons. So I guess before, if you had certain levels on the sword, Executioner, stuff like that, the axe, it would get to a point where you're sending out so many projectiles that the ones past a certain limit, like the duration thing, they're just like empty and non-existent. Even though you can see them on the map, they're not actually like existing. Now, we're also seeing a bunch of changes being made to the balancing of the game. Starting off with this list, we have that the Chaos Tome is now going to give 50% better rewards, which is actually a pretty big buff to the Chaos Tome. Whether or not it'll be worth it to take it, probably not. I'm still a fan of the luck, XP, damage, attack speed, whatever else. Also for the desert map, the Roly Bones are now going to move a bit slower. We don't have an exact amount how much, but it just says that they're now slower. Black hole default size has been increased by 20%. So now that the black hole has been nerfed in some other ways as far as like end game crazy level stuff, the default size is increased by 20%. Also, the proc coefficient has been reduced. So basically what this means, the proc coefficient is a multiplier used to proc stuff like moldy cheese or the spicy meatball. Basically those little equipment that give you like 20% chance to, poison them. The proc coefficient is how likely those are to hit, so you can increase those. Now, it has been reduced from 0.9 to 0.7, right? To match similar weapons. So the sword, axe, aura, basically a lot of the other main weapons have this proc coefficient set at 0.7, so the black hole has been reduced to match those ones. Another change has been made to Joe's Dagger, the people's favorite, right? So Joe's Dagger now has a max damage increase cap of 200 per minute. So if you have 10 daggers, that's a max of 2000% damage per minute. This means it's unchanged early on and in the mid game, but the very late game, it's not going to be the only viable option anymore, so it doesn't go crazy scaling towards the end. So before this change, you could get 20,000% damage in 10 seconds, which nothing else in the game could contest with it. So he's made a change to that. Also, this one, I guess in his own words, is a bit controversial. The XP tome has been slightly nerfed, not by a ton, maybe it is depending on who you ask. I mean, hey, it's more than 20% reduction. So the XP tome is going from a 9% upgrade down to 7%. Now, he says that the majority of the player base wanted this nerf, but some people really don't like it. He says to at least give it a try, and if everyone ends up hating it, he can just revert it back to 9% next week. And he quote says, "Please go easy on me." So go easy on the dev, he's doing his best. Now, I actually do want to mention, I really like how he goes about his little press release thing, his little update. He's very, doesn't take it too serious. He has some fun with it, which we could see in a few quotes, and we're actually got one coming up related to the leaderboards that's pretty funny. As far as the leaderboards go, he says that he fixed some issues that allowed players to break the leaderboards for others. So I wasn't really sure exactly what happened with the leaderboards. At the very beginning of this patch notes, he said, "Yo, sorry about the leaderboards being broken the last few days. I took some time off over the weekend, and of course, some MFers decided to break the leaderboard for everyone. Technically, it's my fault for not securing the leaderboards enough. He just never expected this many people to play it." So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, but leaderboards are back up and running, and whatever the exploit was that allowed people to break them should be fixed. So also with the leaderboards, he says he removed the all leaderboards button until he can actually implement more leaderboard stuff. For example, character specific boards, etc., which I think is actually going to be really cool to see, rather than, because with the leaderboards, you could just see all the characters on the best runs. In the future, we might see specific leaderboards for each character. So that way, if you do a good run with a bad character, you can still be at the top of that leaderboard. But if you have a super strong character, you're going to have to compete with all the other strong characters for that best run. I'm sure there will still be a leaderboard overall, so it's just like whoever gets the highest, I'm sure we'll still have that option. This one's pretty funny. He says he set up a list of known cheaters that are banned globally and will never show up on the leaderboards again once caught. This part's great. He says, quote, "Cheaters, you better watch your butt, or I'm clapping your cheeks back to the Shadow Realm where you belong." So that's what I mean. He's just kind of having fun. He's very not taking it all too serious. He's just having fun with it, which I think is sweet. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. We got some future updates. I've been looking around for like a Megabonk roadmap. He never really shared one, but this is the closest we're going to get. So he included some future updates that he's working on. He says, "There's a lot more stuff I'm working on that's coming soon, probably." Very vague wording, but that's okay. Opacity settings for particles and projectiles. That would be pretty sick. So basically, when you're going blind and you have 40 frickin' axes flying around, you can't really see anything. So there's going to be an opacity setting for particles and projectiles. Hopefully we can turn down the transparency or turn up the transparency and end up seeing a bit more around us. We'll see how that works. He says he plans to add a full-sized map with fog of war so that you can see where you've been. This one's actually interesting. This one I'm excited for. He says he plans to add more information when hovering stuff like weapon stats, etc. So this would be good, you know, when you're looking at weapon upgrades, you can see exactly what the stats really are going to do. Here's another one that's coming. This one is going to be pretty good. Pinning/tracking quests in-game when paused. So this is actually one I would have loved to have when I was doing one of my, I was doing the one where you have to like upgrade the curse tome. I believe there's a curse tome and another one. You have to get like 1 to level 10 and 1 to like level 20, right? But I couldn't remember which tome I had to do which one. Which one do I have to do 10? Which one do I have to do 20? So when he implements this, you'll be able to track and monitor quests while you're in game and not have to back out to the main menu to try and remember which quest you're going after. Sure, there's fixed to that. You could take a photo on your phone, you could write it down, you could do a lot of things, but you know, I did that run and I didn't do those things. I was like, dang, I wish I could see the quests. So in the future, you'll be able to do that. Now, he says, for more major stuff, I want to look at once most of the common feedback has been addressed. So once all, you know, the game is brand new. So once all the basic fixes are out, there are a couple things he plans on working on that are going to be bigger changes. Number one, multiplayer. This is something I was talking to my friend about yesterday, and I think would be so much fun. Imagine co-oping a freaking tier 3 forest or co-oping, you know, some crazy levels. Of course, he does plan to add more maps, items, characters, and weapons. That's a given, I feel like. I mean, there's already a lot in the game, I'm gonna be honest. We got tons of characters, weapons, items, everything. So what else could he add? Maybe some more fun characters. I don't really know how many more stats we can even change, you know? Like, we already have stats that change just about everything you could ask for. So we'll see what he ends up adding in. But multiplayer would be a blast. That would be so much fun. The world record final swarm changes are really gonna change everything. I was just watching a TikTok where a guy was playing for so long. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna get this to the 60 minute max or whatever, and he was only 30 minutes in. I'm like, dang. And he was just AFK grinding, like he's just gonna be sitting there for 30 more minutes. So hopefully these changes are gonna make it a bit more dynamic and interesting, and you're gonna actually have to play most of the time. So I think overall, W update, really W update, and it kind of came out of left field. I wasn't expecting all this stuff. So you can check out all my other videos right here on screen. Just click that playlist button in the middle, and as always, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.